the middle of a fiery clash with Meghan Markle that ended with her storming off her own show. The incident, which has now become a viral talking point across social media platforms, unfolded during what was meant to be a smooth, thought-provoking interview. Instead, it turned into a heated exchange that shocked both the live audience and viewers at home. The interview started off lighthearted enough, with Meghan asking Stewart about his career in comedy, politics, and his return to television. But things quickly took a sharp turn when the conversation shifted toward media accountability and personal responsibility. Meghan, who has often voiced her frustrations with the press, tried to steer the conversation in a way that highlighted her own experiences with the British tabloids. However, Stewart, known for his sharp wit and unflinching takes, did not back down when she pressed him for agreement. According to audience members, Stewart pushed back against some of Meghan's claims, suggesting that while she has indeed been the subject of unfair scrutiny, she also chooses to live a very public life that invites media attention. The crowd reacted with mixed gasps and applause. Meghan reportedly did not appreciate being challenged on her narrative and accused Stewart of minimizing her struggles. That's when the exchange escalated. What began as a spirited debate soon transformed into a verbal tug-of-war. Stewart maintained his composure, but his sarcastic remarks and blunt tone reportedly struck a nerve. Meghan, visibly frustrated, interrupted him several times, insisting that he could never understand what it's like to be targeted. Stewart responded with a firm statement, "You're not the only one who's ever faced harsh media. The difference is how you respond to it." At that point, tensions boiled over. Meghan shot back with accusations that Stewart was being dismissive and even patronizing. Instead of smoothing things over, Stewart doubled down, saying he was on her show to have an honest conversation, not to act as a cheerleader. This was the breaking point. Meghan reportedly took off her microphone, stood up, and walked off stage. Stewart, stunned but unshaken, turned to the audience and quipped, "Well, I guess that's one way to end an interview." The audience laughed, but the awkwardness lingered. Within hours, clips of the clash spread like wildfire on social media. On Twitter, X, fans were divided. Some sided with Stewart, praising him for not pandering and for standing his ground. Others criticized him for what they saw as insensitivity toward Meghan's personal struggles. Meanwhile, Meghan's supporters accused the show of ambushing her with tough questions under the guise of casual conversation. Media outlets are already dissecting the incident from multiple angles. Some argue that this was a much-needed wake-up call for Meghan, who has often been accused of controlling the narrative too tightly. Others suggest that Stewart may have gone too far, especially given Meghan's well-documented history of mental health struggles. Regardless of which side people fall on, one thing is clear: the confrontation has reignited conversations about celebrity accountability, media treatment, and the blurry line between victimhood and privilege. Industry insiders believe this moment could have lasting effects on Meghan's media projects. Walking off her own set doesn't exactly paint her as a strong host in control of her platform. Critics are already calling it a PR disaster, while her defenders argue that her walkout was a statement against disrespect. For Stewart, however, the incident seems to have only boosted his reputation as someone unafraid to challenge anyone, even royalty. As the dust settles, questions remain. Will Meghan issue a statement clarifying her side of the story? Will Stewart address the confrontation publicly, or let the viral clips speak for themselves? And most importantly, how will this alter Meghan's ongoing battle to reshape her image in the media? For now, the moment stands as one of the most explosive celebrity talk show clashes in recent memory, the day Jon Stewart kicked Meghan Markle off her own show after a heated argument that nobody will soon forget. The shocking on-air fallout between Meghan Markle and Jon Stewart is more than just another celebrity spat. It is symbolic of a much larger conversation happening in media, entertainment, and public life. To understand why this clash has hit such a nerve, we need to look at the history of both figures and how their paths collided on live television. Meghan Markle's media journey. Since marrying Prince Harry in 2018, Meghan Markle has been at the center of relentless media coverage. She has accused British tabloids of orchestrating character assassinations, highlighted the racial undertones in reporting about her, and spoken openly about the toll it took on her mental health. Her sit-down interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021 remains one of the most watched and most dissected interviews in modern times, cementing her as both a symbol of resilience and a lightning rod for controversy. Despite stepping back from royal duties, Meghan and Harry's media presence has only grown stronger. From Netflix documentaries to podcasts, she has worked to carve out her identity as an independent figure, apart from the monarchy. However, critics argue that her attempts at controlling the narrative have often backfired, making her appear overly sensitive, controlling, or unwilling to take criticism. That's the backdrop she walked into when Jon Stewart appeared on her show. Meghan expected a sympathetic conversation, what she got instead was pushback. Jon Stewart's interviewing style. Jon Stewart, on the other hand, has built his entire career on asking uncomfortable questions and holding public figures accountable. From The Daily Show to his more recent projects, Stewart has earned respect for blending humor with unfiltered truth-telling. Politicians, celebrities, and journalists alike have been roasted on his stage. What sets him apart is his refusal to play into PR-friendly narratives. In many ways, Meghan walking into an interview with Stewart was always going to be a gamble. While her team may have believed Stewart would empathize with her story, they underestimated his commitment to transparency. For Stewart, every guest is fair game, and Meghan was no exception. The clash of worlds. This isn't just about two personalities colliding. It's about the intersection of Hollywood storytelling and journalistic integrity. Meghan has positioned herself as a voice for those who feel silenced or bullied by the press, while Stewart represents the press's role in asking tough, sometimes uncomfortable questions. When Meghan accused Stewart of being dismissive, she was essentially rejecting the very scrutiny Stewart is known for applying to everyone. When Stewart doubled down, he wasn't attacking Meghan personally, he was sticking to his belief that public figures, especially those with massive platforms, must be open to criticism. Public reactions. The public's response has been predictably polarized. Supporters of Meghan argue that Stewart was too harsh and dismissive, given her well-documented struggles. They claim Stewart should have shown more empathy, especially since Meghan has spoken about suicidal thoughts during her time in the royal family. Meanwhile, Stewart's defenders say Meghan should have expected tough questions if she wanted to be taken seriously as a public figure. They argue that walking off her own set demonstrated weakness, not strength, and that Stewart did what good interviewers should do: challenge, not coddle. The bigger picture: celebrity accountability. This clash is about more than Meghan and Stewart. It reflects a bigger question that society is grappling with. What responsibility do celebrities have when they put their lives and struggles into the public eye? For years, Meghan has asked for privacy while simultaneously signing lucrative deals that require her to tell her story again and again. This contradiction has made her a target for critics who accuse her of wanting the spotlight only on her terms. Stewart's pushback touched directly on this tension, and Meghan's explosive response may have only reinforced the criticism. Career fallout. Experts are already speculating on the career fallout from this clash. Media strategists warn that Meghan's walk-off could hurt her credibility as a talk show host. Walking out in frustration is rarely seen as a sign of professionalism in the industry. Audiences want strong, composed hosts who can handle even the most difficult guests. On the flip side, Stewart's reputation appears untouched, even bolstered. The viral clips of his calm but firm pushback have reminded audiences why he's considered one of the sharpest media figures of his generation. If anything, the clash may drive more people to tune into his projects, curious to see his no-nonsense style in action. Expert opinions on the fallout. PR analysts speak out. Crisis communication experts have been quick to weigh in on the incident. According to one top media strategist, the clash was a missed opportunity for Meghan. Instead of walking away, she could have reframed the moment by calmly defending her position, which would have won her sympathy and respect. By leaving, she inadvertently gave Stewart the upper hand and allowed the public narrative to spiral out of her control. Another PR expert noted that Stewart's firm yet composed handling of the situation only amplified Meghan's perceived volatility. Jon didn't raise his voice, he didn't storm off. Meghan did. In the world of public relations, perception is everything, and unfortunately, this plays right into the criticisms she has faced for years. Psychologists' take. Psychologists analyzing the exchange suggest that Meghan's reaction may stem from her heightened sensitivity to public criticism. Having lived through years of negative press, she has developed what some describe as a defensive reflex, making her more prone to shutting down in the face of opposition. Stewart, however, embodies a more stoic, detached communication style, which clashed directly with Meghan's emotional approach. Media experts' view. Media analysts argue that this moment could be a defining point in Meghan's career as a public speaker and host. Talk show hosting requires not just charisma but resilience. Oprah Winfrey, for instance, built her empire by staying calm under pressure, even when faced with highly confrontational guests. Meghan's inability to do the same raises questions about whether she has the temperament for such a demanding role. The dramatic retelling, a play-by-play of the clash. The set was warm and inviting, Meghan sitting across from Jon Stewart with her signature poised smile. The audience was ready for a witty, insightful exchange. The first 10 minutes were pleasant laughter, shared anecdotes, and easy banter. Then came the shift. Meghan leaned in, her tone serious. "Jon, you know what it's like to be attacked in the media. You must understand what I've gone through, the cruelty, the lies." Stewart paused, choosing his words carefully. "I don't doubt the press has been cruel to you. But Meghan, fame isn't a shield against criticism, it's a magnet for it. The difference is how you handle it." The audience gasped at the boldness. Meghan blinked, her smile fading. "So you're saying I brought this on myself?" she shot back, her voice tinged with indignation. Stewart leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "No, I'm saying you can't claim victimhood and power in the same breath. If you want influence, scrutiny comes with it." The tension thickened. Meghan, visibly agitated, interrupted, "That's easy for you to say. You've never been hounded day and night, had your very identity questioned in the press." Stewart didn't flinch. "You're right. But I've seen presidents, senators, activists, people torn apart in the media. The truth is, everyone in the spotlight faces it. The question isn't whether it's fair, it's how you respond." At that moment, Meghan exhaled sharply, shook her head, and reached for her microphone. "I don't need to sit here and be lectured." The audience fell silent as she stood up, microphone clattering onto the chair. She muttered something under her breath and walked briskly off stage. Stewart, ever the comedian, broke the silence. "Well, folks, that escalated quickly." The audience erupted into nervous laughter, but the damage was done. The long-term impact. Experts predict 3 possible outcomes from this confrontation. 1. Image damage for Meghan. If Meghan remains silent, the narrative will harden against her. The walk-off may be framed as yet another example of her being unable to handle criticism. For someone fighting to control her image, this is a dangerous blow. 2. Opportunity for redemption. If Meghan addresses the incident directly, perhaps through a heartfelt statement or a follow-up interview, she could flip the narrative, painting herself as someone who refuses to tolerate disrespect. However, the success of this strategy depends on tone. If she comes across as defensive, it could backfire. 3. Stewart's win. For Jon Stewart, the outcome is overwhelmingly positive. His reputation for integrity and sharp interviewing is only strengthened. This incident will likely draw more high-profile guests to his own platforms, solidifying his influence in modern media. Why this moment matters. The clash wasn't just about Meghan Markle and Jon Stewart, it was a public demonstration of the collision between celebrity-driven storytelling and journalistic accountability. Meghan wants to be both the storyteller and the protagonist of her narrative. Stewart, however, represents the cold, unbending truth that once you put yourself in the public arena, the narrative doesn't belong to you alone. And in this battle of wills, Meghan may have underestimated the power of someone like Stewart, someone who has built his entire career on refusing to play by the script.